She's so wobbly.
Sean Whaley is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, welcome in everyone to a brand new edition of Axe Cake Picks pay-per-view weekend episode 176. Welcome in everyone. Today is Friday, May the 9th, 2025. And can you guess the area code that I am in right now, Joseph?
123.
No, 02879 Kingston, Rhode Island. What a fuck!
What are you doing up there?
Fun fact about Rhode Island: smallest state in the country.
Hey, they have the finest police force in all the land. The Rhode Island Highway Patrol. You never seen Me, Myself, and Irene?
Oh,
you're a Jim Carrey guy, aren't you? Aren't you a Jim Carrey guy?
Yeah, I like Jim Carrey. He's funny.
Oh yeah, that's do your homework.
I haven't seen it.
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah,
Good movie.
That's
Good
my
watch.
homework.
There you go. Watch out.
How I'll say this: fifth time here in Rhode Island in the many months. Every fucking time it's actually pouring out. Every time. I can't get a nice day in the ocean state. How is the Carolinas?
The East Coast. It's nice down here. I ain't got worried about no. Maybe we're in a little bit of a drought. No. It just rained the other day. I think there's like a little I guess going up the East Coast, but but besides just us being locked in the East Coast, there's a lot of events taking place around the world. Besides what we're going to talk about, PFL Mania is on right now. I know we may have some harsh words to say a little bit later, but they're over in Dubai, I think, or Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's one of their the Middle Eastern PFL trying to get the fighters some shine there. LFA 208 is on UFC Fight Pass tonight. LFA is always doing their thing, getting fighters ready for the UFC. They kind of seem to be like a farm system, so to speak. ACA is a Russian promotion. They're up to 186 promotions. They'll be this weekend. And I think, I'm seeing PFL is also doing Europe, an Europe event. So, yeah, like you said, I guess that's the one that's in Belfast, right? With Paul Big News Hughes main eventing.
Yeah, Paul Hughes. He's like, last time I checked, I think he was minus 2,000, something like that. Minus 2,500. It's absolutely insane.
Why we're not even going to touch that.
Yeah,
not touching.
Very unfortunate. BKFC 74, Richmond versus Dyer going on tonight.
Really, I didn't see that. Wow, BKFC.
Yeah, Mike Richmond.
So it's not. Wow. So, damn.
Mike Richmond versus Joshua Dyer is the main event. The chief support Ben Moa versus Bob Brents.
Damn. I guess not name power that's why I didn't see anything regarding it. But that's the thing. BKFC sneaky. They'll throw in some events where you least expect it, and honestly, they'll be bangers. We were watching boxing last weekend, and I think BKFC had an event as well. And you can watch the whole entire 12 rounds of that Devin Haney fight, and you would have had 6 knockdowns and 6 finishes, I think, in the time BKFC had fights. So. Yeah, that's just a night and day comparison.
We'll talk about all of that. We'll recap Des Moines. Very lackluster of a weekend, kid. If I'm being honest, I was very hyped about Fatal Fury, the Canelo. Shout out Sam Alvey, though. I mean, no one could stop that man. I mean, he's a 2-time he's a 2-division champion in karate combat. And he was on one of the worst losing streaks in the UFC. And now he's really found a home. We saw with Platinum Mike Perry, he's found a home at BKFC. Now Sam Alvey in Karate Combat. So I'm really happy he found a home there. In a way, he did get dropped in round 2, but came back, knocked him out in the 8th round. We'll talk about that. Our pound for pound boxing top 10. So we don't talk about it prior to recording. So I'm very interested to see what you came down with. UFC 315, we are up there in the great country of Canada, Montreal to be exact, so we'll talk about that. Little news on top of that, the Zahabi fight with Jose Aldo, it got moved to featherweight. Aldo was having trouble making bantamweight, so it's up to featherweight fight. Got some news a little towards the end of the show. A lot of fights were announced for the UFC 318 card, UFC 317. So we'll talk about that. And then Joey will end the show in Lyon, France. KSW taking its to the great country of France. We got the lightweight championship fight tomorrow afternoon, right before 3:15. So Joey will take us home there. But Joe, real quick before we recap last weekend, I was talking about UFC 319 with or 318, excuse me, Holloway versus Poirier, the trilogy. Can you guess what line this fight
guess
is?
the line early in the show, huh? Poirier is 2-0, I think, right? I think he'll be the favorite, and it's his retirement fight. We said that he's going to get the belt. I'm going to go with that. Dustin Poirier is like a minus 165, and that means he's like a plus 150 the other way around.
Minus 110 both ways. It's a coin flip. It's even on
the
books. It's a pick 'em.
Oh my god, I love it though. That's fantastic.
I love it. I think it's a fantastic fucking fight.
It's at 155, of course. Yeah, so you're gonna get a nice and filled Max Holloway, not depleted too much. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we were talking about with Sam Alvey. I mean, bro, the weight cuttings, without having a weight cut, it turns into a whole different fighter. So yeah, let's see with Max Holloway going back to 155 if his shades of the UFC 300 fight with Gaethje. So I think it's going to be a good one in Nolans.
Yeah. Nolans. Hopefully it's a little birthday trip. It's the day after my birthday. So I think instead of 3/17th, I'm going to pivot, kid. And I think I got to make the trip down to the, to join you. What was it? The Bayou, kid.
Yeah.
Have some gumbo. Oh, beautiful. All right, kid, let's recap last week. We'll start with the main event. Corey Sandhagen, he gets the TKO finish in round 2 against Davison Figueiredo. A little shortage of a stoppage, I thought, but, he did have the injury, and it was because of Corey Sandhagen in that trip. And once you start resisting it, it's over. Corey Sandhagen dominated that first round, and even if he didn't, the finish was going to come later in the round or in the third round, and it was just a means to an end eventually for Davison Figueiredo. But Corey Sandhagen's next, kid. He has to be next, depending on how 317 goes.
Yeah, it's about time, right? I think there's no argument that Corey should be the next step for the bantamweight title, regardless of the outcome of 316. But Figueiredo, I mean, I wonder what that would be called in a jiu-jitsu match, if that would be considered just like a technical finish, or if it is a submission. But like you said, it gets categorized as a TKO. Corey Sandhagen said, if you can't figure your way out of those positions, then you shouldn't have gotten caught in there in the first place. It's all legitimate. It's a part of the hustle and the grind of the movement of the fight, and it just so happens you got your ligament tangled up and you got hurt from it. It happens. You just got to be ready for it. So I agree with Corey's point. These guys are fighters, and it's unfortunate. We're going to kick each other in the head, but we're going to, complain about when, an arm's caught. It happens. It happens. So, yeah, I think it was a legitimate win, in my opinion. And like you said, I think he's going to be a threat for, people want to see the Sean O'Malley fight. I think the thing is Sean doesn't beat Merab. I think it's Merab and Corey next, I think a lot of people want to see that stand-up battle, but we'll see if anyone can compete with the Merab, barrage that he throws, the takedowns and everything. So Sean can't do it. It should be Corey next wholeheartedly. And for Figgy, I mean, not to jump ahead, but it's just, high expectations for him moving up to 135. We thought the power would translate, that he'd have a different kind of a game plan, maybe being with, full and, not having to cut as much weight, killing himself to make 125, which just seems to be the theme today. Natural weight classes and not having to cut. But yeah, at 135, you just see how deep it is. We talked about it. Bantamweight around the world in MMA might be the deepest class. And so Figgy's kind of not finding his footing in the weight class just yet. And he's gone up with some tough competition. So we'll see what's next for him. But regardless of, Figgy and his level at the bantamweight level, Corey Sandhagen's next, man. We can't doubt this, man.
No, you can't deny him anymore. He's earned it. Bigger fight, Corey or Sean, or Corey or Merab?
I do think I think they want a little bit of change of pace. And the only thing is do you think Merab gets the rematch if he loses to Sean O'Malley?
I'm glad you brought that up because if Merab loses, they're not giving him a rematch. Even though he deserves it.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, they're going to keep this ball rolling. So for the Marab camp, best bet is to defend, and then he gets the Corey match, which I don't think people want to see as much as maybe they want to see Sean O'Malley and Corey Sandhagen. Like I said, two similar body types, two, I guess just different styles on the feet. But it's going to be a kind of war that we would like to see. But like I said, Marab can deny any of those game plans. If he does it to Sean, we fear that he may also do it to Corey, who would be next. So.
Yeah, shout out Corey Sandhagen. It was a very, very masterful class win against a very good guy, and I think Deiveson Figueiredo. Hopefully, he. I thought it was his last chance, because if he beat Corey, he's probably next at the shot. But I think he has a ways to go now. I think he's another 2.
I would even argue if
he is getting up there.
If Figgy did beat Corey, he would have needed another. I think because
really,
right? Didn't he fell short in his last one before Corey? Right? He had a loss, did he not? So
yeah,
I feel like just on that, you just lost a step. So it didn't hold Corey back by any stretch. He doesn't, lose stock by defeating a guy who may not, like I said, have found his footing at 135. So it's just a showcase of his skill set, and to get the finish. Figgy's a tough dude. I don't think many people are finishing him, haven't finished him at 25, and certainly are not finishing him at 135. So. Yeah, it was a movement for the 135, that kind of fight that happened for the main event.
Yeah, 2-fight loss streak now for Figueiredo. He lost to Petr Yan and now Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah.
Two very top of the class people in the division. But, Petr Yan is right there as well. Let's not forget him. And I know he was trying to run the rematch, but I think he has a fight. I think eventually he'll fight maybe Umar for a number one.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of reports. Yeah, Jan is getting thrown in the mix with a lot of different fighters at 135. Some that didn't make much sense, but yeah, he's also right there that could deserve it. If Figgy, like you're saying, if they were to, if he were to beat Corey and never give him a shot, then Petr Yan would absolutely deserve that.
It's crazy. I heard Petr Yan's name linked to Marcus McGee, number 13.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. That's what it was. Marcus McGee's name. I don't understand that really.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Marcus McGee. I mean, that's a big step up. We like the dude, right? I mean,
he's great.
Yeah, just but
that's a huge step up.
A huge step up,
and it kind of reminds me of BSD and Dustin, where they tried to give him a shot and then he got kicked in the fucking face.
Yeah, both older guys too, prospects that are older in age. Do we talk about Nathaniel Wood, the prospect, or even Joel Alvarez, who called out of this weekend? Older prospects.
Are you a fan of grape drinks, grape soda?
I don't mind it. Grapes are fine.
Kid, I fucking love it. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was my mom drank a lot of grape when she was pregnant with me, but geez Louise, I fucking love grape. Anyway,
grape chewables. Yeah, these grape creatine chewables, Animal Made, I think.
Pretty yoked. Absolutely fucking yoked. All right, let's go to the chief support. RDR is a fucking man, and I love him. I don't want to subscribe to the fraud check. I don't think
Bo will be back
because Bo will be back. I think the most telling thing in the fight, he looked small for middleweight against RDR. RDR looked massive for middleweight. And it just looked like the shots, he didn't take the shots well. It didn't look like he was in a lot of sparring fights leading up into this fight. That was worrisome. I still think the wrestling is top notch. I think he'll be back. I think he should get on the horse quick and get a rematch and try to get back into the winning column. I think he'll be fine. He's still very young.
Not an RDR rematch, but a fight. A scheduled fight.
No, not at all. He's far from an RDR match. But I don't think it was necessarily a big step up. At a certain point, all of these guys are going to have double-digit the amount of experience that Bo Nickal has. We got to remember, Bo Nickal was a wrestler his whole life, and he's lost. And he's lost in high school. He's lost in Olympics. He's lost in college. But every time he's lost in his life, he has bounced back.
He's gotten back up.
I'm not the biggest Bo Nickal fan, but I think he will bounce back. But I think the credit and most of what we talk about has to be with RDR.
RDR deserves that flowers. Yeah. Bo Nickal, he's young still. That's a good, fortunate side for him. Being able to absorb it, learn, right? He seems to have IQ, right? good intellect and kind of download his mistakes. And I'm sure he'll bounce back from the fight. And we always talk about after you lose something, especially the O next to your name, I think you become a better fighter. You improve your next time out. So we'll certainly see that. But man, RDR was a 2-time 2-weight class champ and won. So I think it kind of legitimizes one, got to throw their promotion.
100%.
Well, the business acumen may not be there for a lot of these other promotions. Certainly, they can definitely get in some talent from other parts of the world that the UFC doesn't center on. So, yeah, Dutch kickboxing, that's something that's awkward that a lot of people haven't had have had issues dealing with. Look what the DDP is doing, right? He's Dutch kickboxing, South African style, getting incorporated there. Ramon Dekkers rings the bell as one of the most fearsome Dutch strikers, Bas Rutten, right? You got some nasty Dutch kickboxers, Alistair Overeem, right? There's guys out there that style just – a lot of opponents don't see often and don't fare well against. And I think he's going to be a problem. Like you said, he sizes up well for middleweight class. He made Bo Nickel look like he didn't belong at the moment. And I think that reigned true. He was handling the grappling exchange as well. And on the feet, he outclassed him. So I think he can hang with the top of the division. I think this guy is almost maybe 2 fights away. I think that's what we're maybe saying with Bo Nickel, maybe rushing a little bit, but with the O next to your name and the wrestling credentials he had, we could say that, man, maybe 2 or 3 fights, this guy can get a title shot, right? I think the same can be said for RDR.
Oh, I agree.
I think 2 or 3 fights.
I agree.
Randy Ritter can get a title shot at 185, especially with the announcement of the fight. What could happen out there at the title weight? So we could see a loss from DDP to Hamzat and a rematch quickly, and then we can get him thrown into the mix there, or we can have a defense, and then that kind of helps out his case because it can kind of expedite him to the title. That would be a crazy matchup, DDP and RDR.
319 in Louisiana. We have Brandon Allen taking on Marvin Vettori, 10-11, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But he's sitting at 13 RDR. What about Anthony fucking Hernandez or fucking Jared Cannonier? No one wants to fight Calabahallo, but Robert Whitaker's sitting there. There are a lot of good fights up there in the middleweight division. I think he matches up well. He has the experience. He's massive for the weight division. I think he could cause a lot of people problems in this weight class.
You see, Roman Dolidze came out of a win, right, in his last outing. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah. No, he did.
I see that. I know it might not be the best fairness for Roman Dolidze, but for something you want to hold your spot, I think you're gonna have to defend it on an up and coming guy. And there's no one else really. Like you said, we got some matchups made. We got someone where it's trajecting higher. And like you said, Anthony fucking Hernandez, I think he should be fighting ahead. I think in the position he set himself with. So, yeah, I think there's an argument to be had who should fight RDR. Whoever gets that call is not going to like it, but they're going to probably have to accept it.
D fucking Rod. What a knockout. Good to see him back into the win column as well. He hit him with a fucking 5 or 6
the prison combo, dog. Yo, D-Rod's undefeated in prison fights, bro.
Literally.
Yeah.
And he's trying to do a lot of work in the Bay Area where he's from, and he's trying to open up a gym for ex-convicts, and he's really trying to do a lot of work, and so it's good to see that. But I'm happy for him.
And he's rapping. He's coming out to his own music.
I did see that. That's funny as hell. Santiago Ponzinibbio needs to hang it up. Right?
He shouldn't have come back. I think he got that fortunate win, but he's 1-3. Or 1-2 is it comeback? Mm-hmm. It's not boding as well as even though Jose had the issues with weight cut as well as Jose Aldo, right, coming back. So I think that's the issue, right? We talked about if you have one foot out the door in this fight game, it's not good. I think it'd be worse if you're trying to have one foot come back into the door, right?
Yeah,
I think it's the same.
Fucking Montel Jackson. I knew what was going to happen. As soon as you were going to side with the Peruvian.
Both of them, I don't even want to talk about. Both of them crushed. Lost horribly. Bad, sad, done, dead. Oh,
bad, sad. Jeremy Heathen Stevens. What a fight. Got to give him credit. The crowd went crazy for him. Rightfully so. Des Moines guy.
Couple exchanges, Mason Jones taking over in the second round.
He showed that he should have never been cut from the UFC.
No, he should have been a UFC level guy the whole time, bro. Like slick in and out, stayed away from Jeremy Stevens as much as he had. When he had to grapple, he did throw him against the cage, took him down. Man, he did everything necessary to win that fight because it was dangerous on the field. Like I said, if Jeremy Stevens were to keep it standing, I think he could have found the chin at a certain point. That's never out of the cage. for Jeremy Stevens. And that's why Iowa fans, Des Moines was backing him, cheering him on. He was trying to hunt for it. But you said Mason Jones, he is high level. And his stint at the Cage Wars was undefeated. Like you said, he probably should have never been out of the UFC. But let's see what's here on after, right? Like I think even though it's Jeremy Stevens, and you may argue that he doesn't have the best of grappling, that's a big threat handling on the feet. I think Mason Jones should get some high level competition next. I think that I'm not never inside the top 25, but somewhere close. I really think that we should test him and see, like you said, if he should have been deserving of being in the ranks all along. So let's do it. Let's keep him moving. And Jeremy Stevens, I think he walks away from UFC with a loss. I know we talked about it. You're saying maybe he'll come back, but you saw it, the uncomfortableness with the grappling. That's just something that like guys like Mike Perry himself just don't want to deal with anymore. It's like, if I could just throw my hands
go back to BK.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to win my fights that way, in my way. And I don't blame them for doing so. And I think that they found a home in those other promotions. Like you said, Sam Alvey with KC and these boys with BKFC. So let's see him get back signed with Dave Feldman. And I'm sure he'll have some highlight reel bare knuckle knockouts soon.
Yeah. Shout out Jillian Robertson. She gets a second round TKO against Marina Rodriguez. She winds up announcing her retirement after the defeat. Love the call out too for Jillian Robertson. She winds up calling out Amanda Lemos. What do you think here? Because Jillian Robertson, she moved up. She's number 9 right now, and I think she called Amanda Lemos out, and she's sitting at number 7. You beat Amanda Lemos, who fought for the title not too long ago. I think you're one fight away.
I like Jillian Robertson. I've always liked Jillian Robertson. Yeah, I for just a streak, right? You look at the division, right? Can you argue that many people deserve it? I mean, Weili Zhang has kind of cleared that out, right? Verna's getting her shot, right? That's happening 100%.
Yeah, she's next. She's next.
But I think
Tatiana Suarez.
This is over. Yeah, and if Jillian Robertson gets a win over a top 5 opponent, or maybe even in the top 10, if Weili Zhang defends against, you can argue Jillian gets that shot. I'm looking at it now. Hebos, I don't think deserves it. Lucindo,
that was my problem. I said I said Amanda Lemos was 7. I was looking at Amanda Hebos. I'm sorry, Amanda Lemos is 4.
Didn't she call out Lemos though? She didn't call out Hebos.
She did call out Lemos. She didn't call out Rebos. I said that.
Top 5 opponent, right? And if she gets that fight, I think it. In the ground, she has edge. I think it gets a lot of people. Jillian Robertson is really good with jiu-jitsu. We've seen it. And she can knock you out. She can get TKO finishes. It may argue Marina, like you said, she's hung it up 5 out of the last 6 fights she's lost. Right? You can argue that, but you can't deny the streaking fighters. We're going to talk about one in the Canadian, right? Jazz Devicius, right? So these girls are streaking, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. Arguably, with the streak and where these divisions are at, they could be really close to a title shot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a trend that we need to follow. Bo Nickel and your boy Daniel Marcos, they both lost. Undefeated fighters now in 2020-25. Do you know the number?
It's like
straight
4
up
wins, or it's like 3 or 4 wins only.
13 and 22.
Only, I feel like that's high. I feel like they don't even have 13 wins, but wow, 13, 22. So it's a 250% chance. You're only hitting 1 out of the 4 times undefeated fighters in 2025.
Yeah. So maybe that's a trend we follow into UFC 315. We'll talk about that in just a little. But yeah, something we should follow up. Not the best night for me as well in UFC. How did you do overall?
Yeah, brother. We talked about it, the Cinco de Mayo weekend, Canelo Skull, Rolly getting the upset with Garcia. We argued.
Well, real quick on just UFC.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I had to incorporate those picks there, man. So I went 4-15, with everything UFC related and the boxing.
Yeah, boxing was one of the worst weekends in the world, and I know Fatal Fury was VIP, and you can only get an invite only, but man, that was fucking terrible to watch. It was cool to.
Right? Maybe the
Well, I don't even know. It was just like an exclusive event, but it was cool to see. Atmosphere, I thought, was pretty cool. But, man, the fights fucking were terrible. It was I'm not going to lie, Joe. It was a hard watch. Yeah. It was a very, very hard watch.
Took some time out of my life. Watch that shit.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, Barbosa and Lomachenko, Lomachenko won via unanimous decision, even though Barbosa had a pretty good 6th round. Tiafoe just took over, no pun intended, but like he just dominated the fight. Really wasn't anything to ride home about. It was just terrible. I thought the Devin Haney fight,
just walking around the ring
against Jose Ramirez. That bro, you and I throw more punches than that fucking fight. That shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Terrible.
During that fight, bare knuckle was going on simultaneously, and they had 6 fights occur because there were 6 finishes in the span of that Devin Haney fight, where there were less punches thrown. There were knockdowns at BKFC. That's embarrassing.
It was terrible. And then obviously the big surprise, Ryan Garcia, he got outpointed by Rolly Romero. Shout out Rolly Romero, man. He was the better fight.
Garcia's got one, but Rolly had one as well, and he caught him flush. It's more accurate.
He caught him, and there's so many ways I want to take this, Joe. As much as these, I think there's so many ways I want to go. First, I think we need to see crazy Garcia. We need to see a little fucking crazy in this guy because he was such more relaxed.
Juice, though? Do they argue that?
I think you can make the argument. Yes, I don't know if that's accurate because I'm going to believe Garcia and say he was clean.
Okay.
But I think you need to be a little crazy. And, even in the post-fight, like, we need to see that. It makes it more entertaining. And to be honest, people say, yeah, he got knocked down in the second. When he got up, he was fine. He wasn't like, why not go after it?
He wasn't on
and I don't
straight.
think the team was good. I don't think the team was good. I don't think the coaching, he needs a new coach. He needs to just stick with one guy and be with him because the corner was giving him good advice. He just lights on. No one was home. Like he just did not want to go
one ear out the other.
And the reason I think that is for both fights. We'll go back to the Devin Haney fight as well. Because they both know what Canelo had. They already had the agreement that they are going to fight, which is why I think it is doing boxing a disservice to agree to these fights before finishing your first fight. Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia are going to fight next. And to be honest, Joe, after this performance over the weekend, I don't want
to see it.
If I'm Ryan Garcia, you know who I want to fight next? Rolly. Ooh. You got to get that back.
You got to get that back. You're right.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So you agreeing to fight Devin Haney, and they all knew it behind closed door, His Excellency. They got the agreement. And that's why I think they didn't really fucking care, which is a disgrace. I think they're doing boxing a disservice in that point. And Devin Haney, I don't know why the fuck you're laughing with your dad on the corner. What did you do? You didn't do anything. You're both a disgrace.
Yeah, his win might have been arguably worse than Garcia's loss.
It was trash. It was trash. It followed up with trash with fucking Canelo.
Not throwing
shout out Canelo.
They're talking about securing an $80 million bag, and who was coming out saying, was it Rolly saying that? We gotta do it like the UFC does, not pay the fighters.
Yeah,
get
honestly. Yo, Rolly was the biggest winner of the fucking weekend.
Yeah, he won the weekend, bro.
Because
he won, and he's got bragging rights.
Honestly,
if they don't run that fight back, Rolly's got bragging rights for 100%. As long as they throw it back. Really.
And people are like, undisputed for Canelo. Yeah, he became undisputed at super middleweight, whatever. And he's going to fight Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, that fight got signed prior to this match.
That's just whack, though. Yeah, Canelo's the face of boxing, in my opinion, or one of the faces. And we'll talk about it in just a minute with our pound for pound. But you got to go out there and put on a show. Your last finish was what, 5 years ago? Like,
not good.
That's why. Yeah. And you go out there and throw less than 100 punches. That's disgraceful. And you're doing boxing a disservice.
A guy hasn't competed.
Martin Bacoli too.
The majority of his career. Yeah, it was bad.
Martin Bacoli, what the fuck was that? You're trying to get a fight as well, and you get a split majority draw.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
The fuck is
that fight? I'll be honest with you. I remember that fight being on, and it felt like it was 3 hours long. Just that one fight, the Bacoli fight, was embarrassing.
People ask me sometimes, "Hey, Dylan, do you want to go out or do you want to go somewhere?" And sometimes I say, it's like, it's just an expression. I'd rather watch paint dry. No, last weekend, I'd rather fucking watch paint dry than watch those boxing events. It was terrible, Joe. And I thought we were going to have a great weekend. Fatal Fury, Canelo, Inoue. Honestly, Inoue was the one who saved us on Sunday night because he's the one who actually goes out there and finishes fighters.
And put himself on the line, too, to make it an entertainment for the fans. And it fought, the only one was the actual fight on Cinco de Mayo. So
it's all a sham.
He's really the one that's living up to tradition, to be honest with you, in a way.
100%. So,
and that should segue right into the pound for pound list.
Yeah, let's go into it. I also want to give another shout out to Sam Alvey because him and Rolly won the weekend for me.
On the weekend.
Those were the two winners.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the pound for pound. I'm actually very interested. Do you want to go 1 to 10 or do you want to go 10 to 1?
That's why I wanted to start because that's why you hit me with Inoue winning the weekend, and that's who I have ranked at number 1. And I know that could be arguable because we could argue the level of competition because of the other fighters in the top 3 that still haven't taken the O away from their loss column, that being Usyk and Bud. But yeah, Inoue's doing it for us, right? We just said it. This is the most entertaining fight all weekend. The most volume of punches thrown. Dude's breaking records left and right, doing it at weight classes that you normally do not see finishes at. This guy's hunting the body, hunting the head. He's showcasing what true boxing really is. Like I said, he's going out in a shield and doing it. He got knocked down, and that wasn't an end all for him. He went out there and finished his guy. So I just think skill-wise, what you're seeing on an entertainment value, the activity as well. This is guy's 3rd fight in the last 6 months. So, I mean, you were talking about Usyk and what he's done clearing out the division. He's a slightly less active fighter. And then Bud, forget about it. What, he fought one time in the last almost 2 years? I mean, it's getting embarrassing. So we definitely need that Canelo fight. So, yeah. I mean, I hate to just skip ahead and not focus on those fighters, but we have a lot to talk about. So you already know, like I said, what the next 2 follow after Inoue. Like I said, I have Usyk at 2 and Bud at 3. Canelo follows at 4.
Yeah, I think it's a little recency bias. Whoever fights it is more recent is going to who is going to be at the top of your list. But I did move Inoue up. He's at number 2. I got to put Usyk, though.
That's what
he's
fair.
done.
Yes.
Undisputed in 2 weight classes. He's on a historic tear. Defeating Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. Now he's going to have this fight against Daniel Dubois. I mean,
remember the first time out? I'm pretty sure they fought already, right? Am I wrong about that? And Usyk won, but he got dropped by Dubois.
Oh, no. They're right. You're right.
He got dropped by Dubois, and we're like, yo, this is an embarrassing loss for a guy who's supposedly, the talk of the town at heavyweight, at once cruiserweight, but now.
Yeah, this is the second time they're fighting. On July 19th, the same time as UFC 319 or 318. Yep. I keep saying 319, 318. So yeah, I got Usyk at 1. 2, I got Inoue, 30-0, 27 knockouts. This guy's putting it on the line. It's rare to see a fighter who is this dominant and exciting as Inoue. He's thrilling. I mean, what he did against last week in Las Vegas, he's must-see TV. Yeah. So he has a showdown with I can't pronounce his name. It's Murodajin. It's an old. They have a match. Showdown.
Don't tell me that was signed prior, though.
Yeah.
No,
Okay, it's not. Who I want him to fight, we're going to talk about a little later on in the list, but that's the fight that needs to happen next. But and then I agree, and then it's Terrence Crawford for me at number 3. I mean, the only true argument against the only true argument I feel like against Crawford being number 1 is the lack of activity. But after his hiatus finally ended, he jumps up to super middleweight. He's going to fight Canelo here in a few months. And he has the opportunity to become the only boxer in the 4-belt era to be undisputed in 3 weight classes. So if he does that and he winds up beating Canelo, I have to put him at number 1.
Yeah, he deserves the number 1 nod. If he beats Canelo, who I ranked right behind him at 4, because I think just though Bivol beat him, right? I think he's kind of proven himself. Bivol with the back and forth with Beterbiev. I think both of them kind of get knocked down a peg, even though they still make the top 10. I think Canelo deserves the number 4 spot to be in the top 5. It's arguable that you could say Canelo, like you said, is number 1, just based off the record, based off the the list, everything he's done and being the face of the sport, right? So. We haven't seen him lose in a couple of years since that Bivol fight. So yeah, I got Canelo at 4, and I do have, like I said, I have Bivol right there rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to have Dmitry Bivol at number 4. He avenged his only loss against Arthur Beterbiev. I think it was back a couple months. I think in February, actually. Excellent performance. Even though I did want to see that David Benavidez fight, I think that's going to be a good fight. So, probably going to get that rubber match against Arthur Beterbiev. Highly anticipated fight. And that's why I have at number 5, Arthur Beterbiev. He suffered his only loss in that rematch to Bivol a few months ago. Considering the competition nature of both Beterbiev and Bivol, it makes sense for the Russian to hold in the top 5, for me at least. So I think he's going to get a shot to avenge that blemish later in the year. Although he did cross into his 40s, he is getting up there in age. But I think Beterbiev, he's still performing at an elite level. So I get Beterbiev rounding out my top 5.
Wow, that's great. So you have Canelo at 6 then. Is that what I'm thinking? Is you got Canelo at 6?
You'll see.
Oh my God, is he dropping you?
You want me to go? I'll go.
I was gonna say lead us off. Lead us off for that one. Yeah.
Bam Rodriguez at number 6. 21.
Woo!
Yes, 21-0, 14 knockouts. It's hard to believe Bam has accomplished all of this by the age of 25. He's a 2-division champion. He's knocked off Hall of Famers, and I think he's going to continue to just ascend. WBC junior bantamweight champion. He's going to attempt to unify it against an unbeaten WBO guy, Chefe, July 19th. Great fucking night of boxing in UFC that day. And also what just announced, Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement after 4 years. He's fighting July 19th. But he's the only boxer on the list, or on my list, to be born in the 2000s, and he has plenty of runway to just climb in his career. So Jesse Rodriguez at number 6 for me.
He climbs the ladder. He could get that Inoue fight at a certain weight class, right? I think that age.
I don't want to see Inoue. I don't want to see Inoue go up.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, 100% for Inoue's case. But there you go. Like, that's a way to get Bam, at his age and what he's capable of, to be like a number 1 pound for pound fighter. I mean, if you're having him that high on the list here, I think the sky's the limit for him. So I definitely have him on the top 10. But for me, another winner, I think, once again, I said it in the past. I said a guy who didn't fight either guy wound up winning the weekend. Again, Tank Davis looks good out of all of this with Garcia and Haney, with just everything that's going on between them. He's in their weight class. What he did to Garcia, we can always argue the hydration test and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he did it. And I feel like he's a bad matchup for a lot of guys with the power. Left hook seems to be a weapon that is utilized in the boxing that just is an ace in a hole, man. It's made its way over to MMA, and I just think that that's something that he's always got. So, yeah, I like Tank Davis. He's able to promote, right? Able to sell. I think he carries a big name, and he has yet to lose. So, yeah, he's going to get the 6th spot for me.
Number 7, give me Canelo Alvarez. He actually went down after last weekend. It was that bad for me.
I like that you did that.
He's probably boxing's biggest star, and he was very underwhelming in his most recent performance, obviously against William Sco, which we just talked about. Despite becoming undisputed champion at 168, I think Canelo needed to get that fight out of the way. He's going to have the biggest fight of the year when he's fighting Terrence Crawford, Allegiant Stadium. I'm glad that they're doing stadium fights, but opposition aside, Canelo has to get a finish. He has to start. He has an excellent resume, but he has a chance to get another Hall of Famer down in Terrence Crawford. But I think and it's a little recent bias. Yeah, I'll admit that, but I just didn't like what I saw. Even though he won very convincingly, I had to put him down. He was 6 previously. I looked back at my notes. I had to drop him 1.
And Beterbiev is the one for me that gets to drop to 7. I still think he can make a name for himself and raise up the ranks if he gets that Bivol and ices the trilogy, right? But just for now, getting that loss, and I think it was a convincing loss by Bivol. I think he clearly won that fight when I watched it. Beterbiev is still a top 10 fighter in my eyes, especially with the trilogy looming. Give him the number 7 spot, Artur Beterbiev.
Give me David Benavidez or Benavidez, excuse me, at number 8.
David Benavidez.
30-0. 30-0, 24 KOs. He has the David Morrell fight coming up. Or no, that was his last win. Excuse me, in February. But for whatever reason, I feel like no one wants to fight David Benavidez. He did everything he needed to do at 168 and was still unable to land a fight with Canelo. Now he finds himself in a similar position at light heavyweight against Dimitri Bivol. He vacated the WBC title so he could face that rubber match against Beterbiev. So he has wins over Caleb Plant, David Morrell, what I just said. It's only a matter of time until he gets himself a really good fight. I don't know who's next for him. The scary thing is he's only 28 and he really hasn't hit his physical prime yet. So I love David Benavidez. He is number 8 for me.
He was arguable for me to kind of switch spots with who I have at 10 because of being, an interim, right? He's not technically holding it's not legitimate, but a namesake belt. It's an interim right now currently for Benavidez. Am I correct about that? I'm pretty sure it's only interim.
It is.
Yeah, so that's why I just had to edge out your boy ahead of him. But for me, at 8 spot, we saw him in Philly in his own backyard. He put in the work, and I think he deserves all the credit here. Jaron Boots Ennis, right? I think he was one of the least talks about boxers, and he's looming there in that weight class around Bud and Canelo, asking to fight Bud Crawford before, but they're giving him the Canelo fight. So I say watch out for a dude that has that power, like it was for Bivol that first time. Beterbiev had the edge. Bivol wasn't ready for the power. I think if Boots gets in there with one of those guys and mixes it up, I think the power can make a name for itself there. So, yeah, I'm giving Boots Ennis the nod at number 8.
Big Bang Junto Nakatani is number 9 for me, the bantamweight champion. He has a big fight coming up in, I think, less than a month, June 8th. But, this is Japan's other star. He's going to attempt to unify the bantamweight title against IBF title holder Roshi Nasadi. But I think Junto, from what I've seen, he's very exciting to watch. He's won all 4 of his bantamweight fights by knockout since making the move from junior bantamweight last
Junto's
February.
Closer to Bam, isn't he?
Yeah, yes, he is. So I think there's a fight with his fellow countryman down the road. It should be on the horizon, and what should be the biggest fight in the history of Japan. Don't know when that's going to be, probably 2026, 2027, but it's down the road a little bit, but it's not too far. But he's very exciting, 30-0 with 23 knockouts. He's going to unify the bantamweight title in about a month. He has to be in the top 10.
Wow, and I agree. He was hovering, but I have him at 11, at 12, and at 9 for me. I got Bam Rodriguez. I like the placement of him for you. Voting for the potential a lot, but I still think that he needs a couple more fights, right? It's like you said, with that next one that's upcoming, I think he can have some movement there, especially with how others may shake out. But he's going to get the 9th spot because, like I said, I had at 11, I pretty much had Benavidez, and 12, I had Katani. So at 10, I had to fill a Newark zone. I gave him the nod finally. You know how long I've been keeping him out of the top 10, so it's about time that I get Shakur Stevenson in the top 10. So, yeah, he's going to give me the 10th spot because he's just there, man. I know we can argue about the maybe the action with all these guys. Some's telling me that he's itching to get in there and get his knockout again. We haven't seen him talk about knockouts in almost 5 years now. So, I mean, I know it's the hands being brittle, but come on, dude, just go. Let's get this knockout next time out.
Yeah, I mean, he did just get the knockout against Josh Padley on February, and I agree. Shakur is number 10 for me. I had to put a Jersey kid up there. Even though I was debating on not putting him in, I had to put Brick Cities. I'm 23-0, only 11 knockouts, but I think his next fight against Williams Zapata, July 12th, it's going to take him out of his comfort zone a little bit here. I think he's exceptional. I think he's one of the best. I think he's one of the best lightweights in the world. Technical, yes, thank you. I think the biggest complaint is that he also makes it look too easy out. Yes, he makes it a little too easy. I think he should have his hands full, high volume puncher in Zapata. I think have every opportunity to put those complaints to rest, maybe get another knockout or another stop. I think that would bode well for the critics like us. But winning hasn't been a problem for Shakur in his career, but putting on electrifying matches, I think that's the only thing that's holding him back from being one of the biggest stars. Love Shakur. Love that he reps Jersey so much. I had to put him at number 10.
Let's do it. Look like that. We matched up finally at the end there.
Yeah. See, it was a little different. I didn't expect you put guys a little higher than I thought, and I had guys higher than you thought.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's fair. That's how it goes.
I love it. All right, kid. Before we get to UFC 315, that was fun. A little word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We favor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing around the golf with the boys or an elderberry watching UFC 315, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that artisanal blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, kid, let's get to it. UFC 315. Like I said, the Jose Aldo and Amin Zahabi fight did move up to the featherweight matchup. Aldo was struggling to make weight. Jose Aldo weighed in at 143. Zahabi weighed in at 142. Right. Outside of that, what happened?
Yeah, good on Zahabi for accepting that fight. He didn't have to accept it, but
they said they gave him a deal.
Very nice. So they took care of him, but still, you got to be the one to accept it, right? You can always deny it. So he did wound up being accepting.
Early prelims start at 6:30 here on the East Coast. ESPN Plus prelims go off at 8, and then main card on pay-per-view 10 p.m. and we will start in the bantamweight division. Canada's own Brad Katona.
Is he gonna get the crowd rolling there early? I'm not so sure. What's Montreal's time zone? Are they Eastern or is it like Central? Do you know?
Let me look into that and I'll get back to you.
Hey, bantamweight division, Brad Katona is a dog in his own home country. Plus 150 because Bekzat Almakhan does have some vicious hands. You know, I'm pretty sure. Man, who did we see him against? Was it Umar Nurmagomedov, right? Where
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time. He dropped him, right? Am I wrong about that? Bekzat Almakhan. He dropped Umar in their debut fight on the last minute replacement. So I think the dude's hands are registered. I think Brad Katona struggles with power. He does have technical capability, Brad Katona. He's a vet. He could, get it choppy in there and maybe incorporate some clinch work, cage work, maybe get it to the ground. But he is competent on the feet. But I think I got to go in with the Kazakhstanian fighter here. I think Almakhan's got the power. I think he's got the gift with the accuracy to land these shots. And Brad Katona's just can't find his footing in the UFC. Time once in the past, made it out, back in Tough, the Ultimate Fighter, and then still just not found his footing yet again. So I may just not be it's a quad A player like we know all too well, but Brett Beatty. Right, as a Met fan, we know that. That's what it could seem like for Brad Katona. So, yeah, not ready for the big time, but Almakhan is minus 160. Let's get those odds boosted up for the first pick of the evening. Going all in. Bekzat via KO TKO at plus 365.
Ooh.
As many days that there are in the year as the confidence I had that he'll get this knockout.
I love that for you, Joe. I actually have a fight as well. I'm trying to get the odds real quick. Okay, minus 141. I'll take it. I agree. I'm not picking every Canadian card on the to win.
No.
However, I do expect Kazakhstan's. How do you pronounce it?
I got Bekzat Almakhan.
I'm just gonna call him Almakhan. I think he could beat Brad Katona. I'm not a big Brad Katona fan. I think it comes down to the finishing ability here. Almakhan, he has crazy knockout power that you mentioned for a 135er, while Katona has none. We watch him in the Ultimate Fighter. We watch him in a couple fights here in the UFC. Just doesn't get it. He's a grinder. He kind of reminds me of like a Marvin Vittori. And that's no knock on the Italian
Lightweight,
side.
yeah.
I like Amakan's chances of landing one and probably ending it. So I do like your KO TKO. I'm gonna take him on the money line minus 141. I think he is the right play.
Very well. Cool, brother. Let's go to the featherweight fight that's next, man. Willie Cat, Daniel Santos finally got a fight. He's a dog, though, because the South Korean Jung Lee is minus 110. I actually would side a favorite with the South Koreans. Are starting to, make a name for themselves here at the ranks of the UFC, right? We're getting more and more wins by them. It all started with the Korean Zombie. I mean, without him as a pioneer for mixed martial arts in the country, I don't think we'd see these young athletes here. So shout out to him, but no official play for me here. Like I said, I probably would favor the Lee. I just Santos, Brazilians, this type of spot, tough, man. He's very volatile, if I could say. So might be best just not touching this fight. No official play. And the same can be said for me in the next fight, man. A middleweight matchup, Marc-Andre Barrel, minus 140. Powerball, he drained you. Bruno Silva has not looked good as of late. His past 10 fights, I think he's fallen off a cliff because I remember when he came in the UFC, man, he looked like a destroyer, man. He was getting knockouts. Blundell was getting like all these finishes. So they're marking him as a dog because Barrel's home in his own country of Canada and Montreal there. I actually think that's he might be on the outskirts of like where he's from. So he's really close to his own backyard. But I as I was favoring Lee in the previous fight, I don't have an official play, but I probably would favor Barrel. These are not official leans, but like I said, just two volatile fights back to back that I'm going to stay away from. And since D-Rock has nothing on that one, let's go into the light heavyweight matchup next. Navajo Sterling, Doug. Man, does he deserve to be a minus 270 favorite, though? Like, I kind of question that, don't you think? I guess you could say the opponent, Ivan Arslan. When I first saw it, I thought it was Ibo Aslan, the Turkish fighter. I was like, wait a minute, why would I see this name before? But these two dudes have very similar names. So Ivan Arslan is a big dog at plus 260. Maybe that's why. Maybe he didn't look too good on his first outing, his UFC debut, right? Man, I got to go for a long shot in this one. I really don't think Arslan's the play here. I love taking dogs, but I think Navajo Sterling is the right side. I don't think we've really seen the full potential of his game. We've seen a lot of KOs on the feet, and we've seen him being able to go all 3 rounds as of now. Not maybe ready for 5-round fights, but right now, let's see the full range of his skill set, and let's see that he goes and gets a submission with Ivan Arslan, because Arslan, I do think, would rather stand in big than because he's got a little more kickboxing credentials than he has any grappling. So I think Sterling's path of least resistance is to go for the submission here. Let's go and hunt that big plus money prop. I'm going Navajo Sterling via submission at plus 2,400. It's a long shot, but I think it's worth a sprinkle. So, and this next one is another light heavyweight matchup, man, and it's a pick'em, man. Modestas Bukauskas is taking on Ian Cutelaba. I think you look at Bukauskas and you remember the sidekick finish that Khalil Roundtree did to him, but you don't see the skill set this guy possesses. I think he's always been a really good fighter. And if you look at his last 4 fights, I'm pretty sure he's 3-1 in his last 4. So he definitely knows how to win. I think he's a very competent fighter on the feet. And the worry, I think, would be normally when you see Ian Cutelaba is him getting knocked out flat, cold. Ian Cutelaba has always been able to just finish opponents on the feet, but now he's showing new wrinkles in his game with incorporating the takedowns like he did his last time out, totally ground out who I mentioned before, Ibo Aslan, ground him out and then finished him. So Ian Cutelaba could be capable of, finishing him on the feet or finishing him on the ground. Bukauskas, you could say, does the same, but I think with Cutelaba showing new wrinkles of his game and Bukauskas being as intelligent as he is, I see something no one may really see here. The books don't necessarily see it, but, you would probably lean that this fight's going to finish, but I'm going to go the opposite way. I think that this fight's going to go to the judges. I got over 2.5 rounds at plus 130. It could also offer a late finish, Hail Mary KO by either guy or a submission that gets thrown in late after that 2.5 mark in the 3rd round. I'll be safe. So, yeah, I'm going to just take the 2 and over the 2.5 rounds at plus 130, some plus money to see that these two guys' skill sets have improved drastically and now can reach the judges in more fights than they just finished. So let's go with the over 2.5. Any picks for you in that one? I know it's an exciting fight.
No, not at all. I don't get started again until the Mike Mallet
Mike Mallet. All right, so I'll talk about this next one. The women's flyweight division, Jessica Andrade is plus 250. A lot of people counter it out because Jasmine Jasudavicius, as I talked about before, not only is a minus 275 favorite, but she's surging, streaking 4 or 5 fight win streak, a couple submissions sprinkled in there. I think that's a clash of styles, right? Andrade's not going to want to take this to the match. She's going to want to keep this standing on the feet. Jasudavicius is going to be hunting for the takedown. And will she get it? I think a lot of people are actually backing her here, but I'm going to fade the public, man. I'm going to go with Andrade. I saw a statistic recently that she's looking to tie for the most knockdowns in her division's history if she can get at least one. So if she breaks it by getting 2, I think she can also get the finish here. Give me Jessica Andrade via KOTK plus 550. I'm hunting the finish here against the Canadians.
You're fading the Canadians.
Yes, sir. And are you fading the Canadian in the next fight? Like we mentioned, the welterweight matchup consists of Mike Malott, minus 175, taking on Chucky Buffalo. Am I right about that, Charles Radke?
Bro, love the fucking name. But I just don't I don't see the feasible path to victory here with old Chuck Buffalo in this matchup. I'm gonna pick a Canadian here. Give me Mike Malott here, minus 160. Chuck Buffalo. You know, he's had similar success in the UFC as Mike Malott. Just different level of competition, though. But it also helps that Mike Malott is the bigger, younger fighter. He's a better grappler. And I think he's going to have the crowd behind him as well. So I think he bounces back. I think he gets the win here in a very favorable matchup, I think, for Mike Malott. Give me the Canadian.
Yeah, that's what I think. We'll see. Maybe Barrow get a victory, get the Canadian crowd into it, and I think you might be right with the Malott pick there because it could be favorable on the ground for him. Radke would definitely want to keep it standing because he's got hands, though. You know, Radke can get knocked out. Malott seems to fall into that brawling style at times, and I don't think favors him, right? He can get dragged into the fire. He doesn't come out unscathed. He comes out burnt most of the time. So Malott's got to play his game on the ground, I think, for the finish. So with a clash of styles, it makes me think that Radke's going to either knock him out or Malott will find that finish on the ground, whether it is a ground and pound finish or if it's a submission. So going under 2.5 rounds, I think we see a finish in an exciting matchup before we get to the main card. So like the main event of the prelims, if you would, under 2.5 rounds is minus 135. So it's actually sort of likely that the odds makers see it that way as well. And I didn't see that too much of the public was on it. It's just favored because we got a lot of whales and the whales know. So let's go with the under in that fight. And now we've made it to the main card of UFC 315. And, you know, got to shout out Kyle Propolek, UFC vet, ex-UFC guys stepping in on short notice since we talked about Joel Alvarez is stepping out. A rib injury, right? Or something along those lines that has pulled him from the fight. So I like this fight, though. I think that Benoit Saint-Denis does go out a lot on the shield. You know, he goes to hunt for the finish, but it also leaves him susceptible to get finished, right? So he's a big, massive favorite. I've seen him as minus 900 going to minus 1,000 just because Propolek's a little older at 35 years of age and just coming in on less than a week's notice, a 1 week's notice. It's going to be difficult for him to overcome these odds. He also went 0-2 in this last UFC stint. Get some good fighters, though. So Propolek has experience. Man, I wonder if he has a chance in here. But sometimes, like, being counted out that bad and being that favored, I really feel like maybe Propolek could be fighting with house money, right? Don't you get that kind of sensation here? So
he has nothing to lose.
He has really nothing to lose. And like I said, Benoit Saint-Denis, if BSD goes in there and just can't really put him away immediately with his shots, or if he gets hit and hurt by Propolek, because like I said, he's got the experience, and all it takes is one shot. If you look at his record, Kyle Propolek is about 13 wins via KO TKO. It has never been finished. I think he's been submitted a couple times and he's lost via decision. So, man, I think we're playing with house money in his own backyard. I think coming right off of the Malott fight, with Malott getting a victory and a finish there, the crowd's going to be bumping. The crowd's going to be ready. And you think that they're going to be supporting the Frenchmen because it's French-Canadian in Montreal? No, they're going to be supporting their hometown guy. They're going to be voting for the actual Canadian. I think I'm going to take Kyle Propolek here. I think plus 750, it's worth it, man. I think he can get the knockout too. I haven't seen odds for that KO TKO prop, but I think I'll go and sprinkle a little bit on that as well. So at plus 750, I'm going to take a shot with Kyle Propolek.
My question to you is it Mike Malott or Malott?
I think it's Malott. I think
Malott.
You're right. I think it's Malott. Yeah.
Pepperlich or whatever to win by KO TKO plus 2,300.
Let's do it.
Wow.
Just like the Navajo Sterling submission.
Little pizza bet on that.
Little bit. No pick there?
No, I hope BSD loses though.
Let's go.
Hey, I'm being honest.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you're a fan of feet, you're gonna love this fight in the women's flyweight division.
I know chicks.
I know women. Alexa Grasso is plus 210. Holy cannoli, because we're just looking at the skill level of Natalia Silva at -2. And you've seen her in person. You know, that's the thing. Like D-Rock saying that he knows chick. He truly does. Bro has been traveling around the country to tune into women's mixed martial arts. He's gone to Denver. He's gone to Atlantic City. He's gone all over the country and has
I know chicks.
Women's fight in person. Exactly right. He knows chicks. I want to hear his opinion on this fight.
Now it's going to be a parlay piece because she's such a big favorite, even by decision. But I'm taking our girl Natalia Silva to win via decision. I tried to even get it down to unanimous decision, and even that is -150. That's the lowest I was able to find. She gets the former champ here and hopes to be her key shot. I think if she beats Alexa Grasso in a unanimous decision win, I think she gets a title shot with a win. I think she's extremely dangerous everywhere the fight goes. And she has the speed advantage on the feet. And I think she's going to pose extreme problems for Alexa Grasso. I just don't see either fighter, the fucking grape juice is fucking me up. I think she's. I just don't see either fighter getting a finish in this fight, but I do expect Silva to lead the dance, stay on the outside. I just think with her speed, the kickboxing, I think she's going to win very comfortably. So Silva to win unanimous decision -150. That's going to be the play.
One can hope, because I see that as well. I see that Silva can absolutely cruise to a decision victory here. I think the volume is scary that she can finish Alexa Grasso, but I think Alexa Grasso is too tough to get finished. And I think the wild card is Alexa Grasso taking her down. I think we've seen her submit Shevchenko, who's got a really good ground game. And I think Grasso does have some good wrestling and some good jiu-jitsu, man. So I think Silva, being as untested as she is on the mat, I think that's Grasso's way to victory is that. And I'm scared that could happen. But I'm with you. I think Natalia Silva, I like her too much. I think we need a fresh face for the weight class, and I think she's motivated to do so. And a win over Alexa Grasso, I think, pretty much sets her up for a title shot. I don't know if she needs another fight, but it's arguable depending on what she does here. If she defies expectations and gets a finish, you could say that, hey, we need a new challenger at 125. Let's get her in there. So I'm going to side with Natalia Silva as a parlay piece, as D-Rock said, straight up on the money line. But I'm also going to incorporate the prop bet of her via decision at -130. I got her at, but that too is a piece of a parlay. So both the money line and the prop are pieces of parlays.
We've been on Natalia Silva for years now. Ever since she was on the rise, we're like, dude, this girl's going to be phenomenal. Back when she was on the prelims. Yeah, she's going to be a future champ. And we're seeing it now. 2 years later, she's a fight away from fighting for the belts.
100%.
I know chicks.
We'll see what happens in the co-main event for that weight class. So
I've seen both now.
It could shake out well for her. It certainly can. So like you talked about this bantamweight matchup in the featured bout, Jose Aldo is struggling.
Featherweight.
It is now featherweight. Thank you. Yes. Aben Zahabi plus 185 took the fight, man. Kudos to him. You know, my statement that I was going to say is, it's arguable that his prime and Jose Aldo was the best pound for pound fighter ever. I could argue that. You could really argue that, the streak and just everything he did. Guy who retires at 145 and then returns at 135. It's unprecedented because normally you see guys we talked about come back from retirement at a higher weight class, but he's back at 145. So that doesn't matter. I digress with all that. So I've heard also people complaining about his Twilight run, the level of opposition. I just, on the other hand, I'm seeing that he's getting winnable fights. And here's another one, right? I think he could possibly slow burn himself into a title if Merab clears out the division now. To be honest, like Jose Aldo keeps winning. I don't think you can deny him at 135. It's just if he can make the weight class, right? If he can make 135. So I'm on Jose Aldo in this spot.
Wow.
I incorporated him as a piece in the parlay on the money line with Natalia Silva. So I got the two Brazilians in Canada parlay cooking at money line odds of plus 125. And then, like I said, I see Amen Zahabi being able to compete. Crowd going to have his back. And I think for us, Zahabi, his brother, is going to be in his corner and is going to help him a lot. But I just think that there's going to be positions and exchanges where he's not going to come out on top. And I see flaws in his game. And I just see him losing on the judges' scorecards. I think Jose Aldo is going to win either split, majority, or unanimous. If to play it safe, just take Aldo via decision at plus 100. And so with the 2 decision props for him and Silva, it'll give you plus 254. A little bit better than just the money line, but it's also more volatile because it's a specific prop.
I'm sorry about your parlay because this is where it ends. Give me Zahabi plus 180. Following Jose Aldo's controversial loss to Mario Batista, he's looking, even though I thought Batista won, I thought it was a close fight. Now he gets a fight against Zahabi. Now I think Canada is going to have the biggest pop for him, for Zahabi. I think this is the fight, not Jasmine Jasudavicius or Mike Malott or who is it? Marc-Andre Barrios. I just think Zahabi is going to be the guy. A win over Aldo would be the biggest one of his career. I don't think that's a hot take by any means. So I like Zahabi here, though. I think Aldo has become a low-volume striker as of late, and he can be controlled. He can be held against the cage for long periods. We just saw that. I don't expect this to be an exciting fight, but I do think Zahabi will have a great game plan, coached up by his brother, and he's going to follow the blueprint of others to beat Aldo, which we just saw Mario Batista. So the values with Zahabi here. Give me the hometown kid plus 180.
Love it. Hey, man, I didn't expect that at all. I thought we were riding the Aldo Twilight run, but
never.
Welcome to the Twilight.
Welcome to the Twilight. Great.
The Chief Support.
Yes,
great, fantastic show, legendary show. The Chief Support, as D-Rock likes to mention it, is the co-main event for the UFC Flyweight Championship, and Valentina Shevchenko is even though it's not consecutive, what is this, her 8th or 9th title defense, right?
Yeah, I think it's her 9th or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? So plus 130, surprising to see the odds stacked against her. Manon Fiorot, though, is a fierce opponent at minus 135 as a favorite. D-Rock, who are you going to side with?
Oh, we're starting with me. I love it. Now, like Joe said, I do know chicks. I saw
Manon Fiorot
live in City. Boring fight, and
she made it look easy.
I'm not surprised, motherfucker, that she's favorite here. Coming off the trilogy loss with Alexa Grasso, Shevchenko gets a new opponent in Manon Fiorot, who she's earned it. I know she might not be the most exciting fighter, but she brings an aggressive striking style. She's physically strong. She has great takedown defense. Unless Shevchenko can wrestle for 5 rounds, she's going to be in a rough night against the French fighter, Manon Fiorot. So I think Fiorot's going to look to fend early takedowns, utilize her body strikes, keep the distance, strike on the outside, and get the win. And new minus 132. Give me Manon Fiorot.
Brother, yeah, man. I kind of saw that coming. I love Shevchenko. Don't get me wrong. The Bullet has been a fantastic part of the UFC for almost a decade now, if not more, right? I've kind of grown up watching her. And, I mean, the dancing, the speaking of different languages, I mean, she's just an all-around class act, and we love Valentina Shevchenko. But, we always talk about it. Father Time is undefeated. And I think, in a sense, her time has come, especially that we're fading Alexa Grasso earlier. It just shows where they were at and kind of making the division wait for their trilogy to end. And now that it's time for a new challenger, I think it's time for the new era for this division. So, yeah, I'm with Manon Fiorot. I think she's the right side here, but I'm going to take a couple chances with her. I think she's big for the division. I think for Shevchenko has seen better days, and I've just seen the embeds, and for some reason, I got this weird feeling about her as of late, as compared to what I did in the past. So there's something telling me that if she gets connected nice, Fiorot could put her lights out. We know we haven't seen in the past in the UFC stint, but look at her kickboxing resume. Manon Fiorot has a lot of standing KOs, TKOs, and I think she could do that to Shevchenko. May also see a little, like I said, talk about wrinkles in the games if she can, incorporate some takedowns and some dominance on the ground. Like I said, how she did with Erin Blanchfield, just not allowing the takedowns and just dominating in those exchanges. So I think she can win everywhere. I really do. I think Manon Fiorot has been overdue for this shot, and I don't think she's going to take it lightly. I think she's going to wind up victorious with a KO TKO. I think she's going to connect and she's going to knock out Shevchenko. Give me Fiorot via KO TKO at plus 665. It's a kind of long shot odds for her to get the finish there based on all the decisions we have seen as of late. And I might as well incorporate that with the under 4.5 rounds at plus 250 because they're not seeing it. They're seeing that this is going to go to the judges. And I feel like Shevchenko could possibly submit her, right? Or maybe knock her out, or a finish could happen either way. And that's playing it safe with the under. But like I said, I'm backing Fiorot, and I think that she can get the finish. So both of my bets could hit there for the co-main event slot.
I love it.
And now we've made it to the main event in Montreal. It's for the UFC Welterweight Championship of the World. Is this one of the, we talked about Cam Ward being the least talked about first overall pick in NFL history. Don't you think that this is one of the least talked about main events in company history, right? Is this because of the law?
I mean, did you see, I don't know if it was TickPick or Ticketmaster. You know how many seats are fucking left?
Not even close to being
the gate is not going to be big.
Unfortunately, but you know what? Canadians are going to be rowdy in there. The crowd is going to be amped up, man.
Canada!
Bro, their crowd can compete with any crowd in the country, in the world, anywhere.
Maybe
honestly.
not France.
I think
France
so.
was
Maybe
rowdy.
even better. Maybe even better.
Wow.
We can see, bro. So, Bilal Muhammad in this spot, man. I
remember the name.
I have a hard time seeing this dude lose here. He's minus 175. JDM, 3-name Jack Della Maddalena, the Italian-Australian is plus 165. I mean, I think dude's a freak. I think he's got balls of steel, right? He killed it on the press conference. I think I liked him during the embeddeds. He works hard. Craig Jones is in his corner. You can see that he's going to be ready for the ground game. And I think arguably Jack Della Maddalena has got one of the best boxing skill sets in the UFC, pound for pound. We can argue that he's maybe the best boxer in the entirety of the UFC.
That's fair.
It's just if Bilal Muhammad can though get it and maybe outbox him and then incorporate some takedowns, I think that's going to grind out JDM. But if JDM can play his game, can start piecing up Bilal Muhammad, I can see a path of victory for JDM. I really can. And
wow.
And we said it. We talked about what's going to happen with Ilia Topuria and Islam. If Bilal Muhammad wins, we're going to get Ilia Topuria versus Islam. Am I correct about that?
Correct.
And if JDM wins, we're going to get Islam fighting JDM, and we're going to have Ilia fight Charles Oliveira. That's something I heard. So very interesting. Correct. Very interesting what can make out with all that. I'm going to go with the shocking interest. I'm going to go with JDM getting a victory here. Like I said, it's hard pressed for me to see Bilal losing, and we've been backing him for quite a while. Got the plaque right here staring in my face. We went there in person, name on the canvas. Bilal Muhammad saved the main event there. So, like I said, can't really be too bad if I do get this one wrong, but something's telling me that JDM could compete with the boxing and Bilal could fall in love with the boxing too much. If he can get those takedown stuff, JDM could win this fight. I think he's capable of dethroning the champ and just throwing a curveball into multiple divisions. Like I said, this could have, domino effects and ripple effects throughout the entirety of the UFC, not just 170 and not just 155. I think it could also be for other weight classes as well. So, yeah, gonna go for the least expected thing. That's sports for you. The least expected thing is what always occurs, like the Mets winning World Series. So let's go JDM, taking a dog in the main event.
Knicks in 6 or 5.
Knicks in 6, exactly.
If you are a fan and have been listening to us for the past year, 2 years, you know how big of a fan I am of Bully B. Remember the name, and you will remember the name after Saturday night. Give me Bilal Muhammad via decision at minus 105. I think the biggest disparity between these two is Bilal's cardio and wrestling. Yes, JDM has great striking and knockout power. Do not disagree with that at all. But Muhammad just dominated Leon Edwards without a problem, outstruck him. It's hard to imagine this fight going differently, especially considering that JDM was a flying knee away from losing to Gilbert Burns in his last fight. So I expect Bilal, and he dominated him, and we saw that live in Newark where he dominated Gilbert Burns and took that on short notice. So I expect Bilal Muhammad to go out there, push the pace, use the dominant wrestling, throw him on his head, secure the first success title defense, and
keep laughing all the way to the bank.
And I'm going to keep laughing because everyone keeps downing him, and
He's a little cringe sometimes, but that's okay. We're gonna keep laughing
He's
to
a
the
hell of a
bank.
fighter.
He's a hell of a fighter, and I'll say this: the UFC doesn't want him to win. I think that's pretty evident.
Oh no, they do not. No,
They do not want him to win.
He might be the most hated fighter on the roster by both the fans and the UFC brass. They don't want him as champion, point blank.
Islam likes him. They train together. They like him. But you know who's really rooting for Bilal?
Topuria.
That's why we're best friends. Topuria is rooting for him heavy. But yeah, and still give me Bully B. I think he dominates with his wrestling, his pace, and I think his striking is very underrated. Now, obviously, I think JDM striking is one of the best in the division, but don't count out. He just outstruck Leon Edwards.
But that's what I was gonna say. Just to goes to show how good Bilal really is, if he can just outbox JDM.
Yeah. If that winds up happening, we just don't know what we're talking about at this point. All right, kid. Well, good luck. Should be a hell of an event in Montreal, Canada. And I know there are a lot of tickets out there still left, but the fans will show up. Got some news before we get to I almost said KSW. Yeah, KSW 106. Yeah. We will start your neck of the woods, UFC Atlanta, June 14th. 2 fights announced: Cody Garbrandt and Ronnie Barcelos.
Wow.
Do you like that fight?
I think it's a barn burner, bro, to be honest with you.
And we got your boy Charles Jordan taking on Ricky Simone.
Wow. I like those 2 fights for Atlanta. They had to bulk up the card a little bit. I think people were complaining about it a little bit. So those 2 fights being made are fantastic, actually.
June 28th, UFC 317. That's International Fight Week for you guys not following. Viviana Araújo taking on Tracy Cortez, and Jack Hermanson taking on RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. 2 good fights.
Oh yeah, I mean RoboCop needs to get back, right? You know.
Yeah, he lost his last one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. It's I hate to say it's not the most appealing of fights, but we need to start bolstering these cards up. Getting tired of weaker cards where we're paying top dollar, right? And we're not getting the outcomes we really expect.
Well, Tracy Cortez, she's sitting at number 10 in the weight class we just talked about in the flyweight division. She had a big opportunity against Rose in Denver, which I was in. I know chicks. And she fell short, but she still gets a top 10 fight.
And I mean, she's big in the media right now. Everyone's talking about Tracy Cortez. She's doing great in her, promoting herself. She's doing a great job there.
USC Nashville, July 12th. Steve Garcia taking on New England Cartel's own Calvin Kattar. What a barn burner.
Tell me how I like that one too, bro. Like, I honestly like that Nashville card a lot too. Like the New Orleans one to Nashville. I want to go to one of them. You've been to Nashville, right?
Yes, I have.
I want to go. I heard it's awesome there.
Yeah, it is. It's like a cleaner New York. The strip with all the bars. You don't see a lot of homeless and dirty people. It's nice. And then July 19th, UFC 318th in New Orleans. Marvin Vettori taking on Brendan Allen. Allen is from Louisiana. He gets to go home and fight there. And Amanda Ribas taking on Baby Shark Tabitha Ricci.
Hey. Yeah,
I mean, those fights.
Yeah, Tabitha Ricci always puts it up, right? So I think she needs to get back though, right? Another one. So
yeah,
it's going to be a crucial fight for both. I don't know how close these guys are with their contracts, right? You're going to have a point of where these UFC contracts are coming up, and it's like must win. So if you lose, you're going to have to be fighting in another promotion.
Last but certainly not least, before we get to KSW, PFL Africa will debut July 26th at the Grand West Arena in Cape Town, South Africa.
What?
But they still fuck up because how isn't Dakota Ditcheva main eventing? I like Johnny Eblin. I'm a big Johnny Eblin fan. But he's going to defend his middleweight title. But against Costello Van Steens?
Yeah, in South Africa. Yep. Costello
and Dakota Ditcheva returns against Samoka Inaba.
Yeah, I don't know who that is actually.
no one knows. That's the problem.
Tickets right here. 2 tickets, the cheapest price on Ticketmaster for UFC Fight Night in Atlanta, $236.20, not counting fees. I think it's a little overpriced.
Yeah, a little bit, but they've gone up.
They've gone up.
Just
How
kidding.
about this? Cheapest 2 tickets for UFC 316, $360.
What about in New Orleans? What about 318?
I don't think they're even available yet, bud.
No, I think they are. I thought I saw.
No,
Maybe.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No.
I got the Quebec. There's some mad, like you
There's
said,
mad tickets.
there is a
available.
lot of tickets for tomorrow night. It's still available.
I thought you were about to say tickets to South Africa. I was about to say, buddy, the problem isn't buying the tickets there; it's getting there.
Yeah,
But my problem with that, real quick, is how is it your biggest star main eventing?
I don't understand why they're doing that at times. I think maybe it's like just because we have champions from that part of the region of the world, we're able to throw an event there, even though that fighter is not showcasing the event. It doesn't make really much sense.
Yeah, I fucking hate the PFL. KSW 106, Lyon, France, tomorrow afternoon. That's a little appetizer before UFC 315. You got the lightweight champion fight. What do you got, Joe?
I mean, my professor, who originally was supposed to, he fought Marcian Held, who was originally scheduled to fight Saladin Parnasse, has withdrawn due to rib injury. So Marian Volkovsky is stepping in. Man, they're counting him out. He's plus 700 here because Saladin Parnasse is just top of the heap, man. I think he's a lightweight contender that can fight with anybody in mixed martial arts. I really think so because he's competed at welterweight and he's even gone up to middleweight to fight Adrian Bartosinski, who he just fell a little short at, just the size, you know? So Saladin Parnasse, to me, is one of the best fighters on the planet. Reason being as well, he's minus 1,000 on the books. I think he's the right side, man. You got to go inside the distance. I think that he's going to get this finish here, whether it's submission, but he showcases also well, or if it's the skill set he has on the feet. Unfortunate for a last-minute replacement, but Parnasse is the right side.
Joe, good luck. Let's keep the 10 seconds left rolling. Good luck, UFC 315. Hopefully it shows out and we win all of our bets. Any last words, kid, before we get up out of here?
And I'm, Coastal Baseball, I think, is their last homestand. They're blowing it out right now. They're doing so good, man. Top 5 in the country.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Beat Clemson on Tuesday, blew them out. So just a fantastic ball club, and probably going to try to check out a game either tonight or tomorrow. So that's about
Coastal
it for
Carolina
me.
plays tonight, 6:00 against University of Louisiana Monroe. They're number 14th in the country, Coastal.
Oh, okay. So I must have seen some other poll, but still, I mean, that's very high. They're a really good team. There's a lot going on this weekend, so I'm sure I'll be busy.
I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, Towson. Huge. We got the lacrosse. We got the first round against my hometown Princeton Tigers.
Yeah, 2 good lacrosse schools.
Yes. Shout out Towson. Good luck to the boys. Hopefully we get the upset. Princeton is number 3rd in the country. So let's get them Tigers. Yeah. Well, everyone, good luck on all your bets. Enjoy the fights, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.